But there were so many people who said what an incredibly warm and friendly person your dad was.
He's super high energy. He's definitely can lift up a room no matter where it is. And honestly, sometimes it helps a lot.
Was Scott Dixon your favorite driver growing up?
From IndyCar, yes, yeah. The coolest part was going side by side with him in St. Pete, and as a kid, in my house, on my scooter, pretending I was side by side with him, or going around the dining table.
Yeah.
And now I'm actually side by side with him on St. Pete.
David Malukas, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Big fan of yours.
To you as well.
That is, you were lying. Get out of here. I'm so excited that we have a chance to sit down and chat. I know you've been in IndyCar for 4 years, but how many times have you been to Long Beach?
Well, I've been to Long Beach every single time, but I drove only the 3 times.
Yeah. You check out the Egyptian sarcophagus they have there by the bathrooms?
An Egyptian?
Tucked in the corner over there by the bathrooms is like an Egyptian coffin. I don't think like real.
Well, I'm going to go there now after this. That's going to be an insane bathroom break.
Yeah, it's just right there in the corner. I don't think it's authentic. I don't think it's like a real.
Guys, if you want to come to Long Beach, you need to go to this bathroom over here. It's the highlight of the weekend for sure.
I listened to a lot of your interviews, and one thing I noticed.
Great.
No, I thought they were great. One thing I noticed listening to these different with you is like you have this incredible to feel comfortable with anyone. I don't know if you actually feel comfortable with anyone, but that's how like you project yourself.
Right. I feel like I definitely get comfortable. In the beginning, look, if you go back, I don't know if you can find them, to like the old Indy Next, and those were rough. I mean, I was very afraid for sure in all that interviews. Yeah. But I think it was just because you always, it's like, oh, what should, you kind of this, or it's like, maybe I need to say this and this. But I ended up realizing that I just have to be myself, don't think about it, and just go and talk. And I feel like that's what people ended up liking. Yeah,
because regardless of if like doing a media day, you're like in a more press scenario, or if you're on like a radio station like 2.9 The Hog, you are unfazed by energies. Like there are certain people I feel like in this industry, and also athletes who will code switch on what scenario they are in and who they're talking to. But you're just like, whatever energy you're giving is still going to be me.
Yeah, no, I think that's that, because that is kind of what I go for. Just want to just be myself, and just, I don't know if it's a good thing, but that's what I go.
I think it's a great thing, because I think authenticity is very important in this space, because watching the sport itself is like thrilling and amazing. The human element feels like the spectacle is a little like hollow and without meaning, and want to get to know the athletes, and we want to get to know the drivers and their personality. So I think it's great.
Great. It's just an interview of like compliments for me. That's nice. Thank you, man.
But like, it was very funny in this radio interview, and I don't want to I'm not insulting, but it was very funny because I don't listen to traditional radio anymore. I mainly like listen to Spotify or maybe NPR or whatever. But it's like radio. There's a kid, and it's like, you're listening to Donkey Ronk Radio.
It did start that. It threw me off a little bit. I was like, whoa, okay, cool. We're going into it. Awesome. I love that.
And like, they didn't use, like, I was waiting for to start using a soundboard when they asked you questions. Like, oh yeah. Can we talk about the true TV series Kart Life?
Yeah, we could.
Because I've been wanting to ask you about this show for a very long time. I know you brought it up with Connor Daly, like 7 months ago, Beat Street podcast.
Oh, that's so specific.
But it's very specific. I've been to you about this series forever, because it lasted once, and you like one of 10 families that were featured on the show, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel in the show made you more comfortable in front of cameras once you made it to Indy Next and then the NTT IndyCar series?
I would like to assume so, but I don't think it did, because I was still so young. Like that was even before. I mean, I was still in my nose playing Hot Wheels at that age. Like, man, I was not near a mental state. So it was more, I don't know, back then I wasn't nervous at all as a kid, because you're just so young. You're kind of just like, they're like, hey, read this script. You're like, okay, I'll read that script, sit down. And they're like, you need to be more emotional. I'm like, okay, I'll be more emotional. I started listening to my own interviews. Yeah. Because, you say it like, oh, I went out, it was a good session. But then you listen back, it's like, I went out, it was a good session. You're like, what? Yeah. You sound like,
you
why
think
do I
like have this like low voice, and you actually sound like the SpongeBob meme where it's like a mix of lowercase, uppercase.
Exactly. Yeah. So I ended up listening back to a lot of my interviews and realized I ended up having to change some things, focus on some stuff.
Do you remember the moment when you told your parents, specifically your dad, that you were getting your first ride in IndyCar with Dale Coyne?
Yeah, I mean, it was so to IndyCar and all the feeder series. Obviously, Mike was so heavily involved.
Yeah.
Obviously through HMD Motorsports, we might had our dreams. I wanted to obviously IndyCar and make it there. Dad also had a dream of having his own team. A part of it.
Yeah.
Racing has always been with the family. So, growing up, we were both trying to achieve our dreams of creating everything happen. So it's a very cool. We kind of leaned off of each other, try to get our goals and to this point. But obviously, once we've to that first announcement done and getting into Dale Coyne,
Yeah.
it was very surreal. We spent obviously a lot of time and money to create HMD Motorsports to give us a good car and surround us by good people. That speed to get results in Indy Next to where people like Dale and IndyCar could see us and say, hey, I want him on the team.
Yeah.
So it was in the beginning, it was a lot of hard work and a lot of time, but the way everything turned out, I mean, it was all worth it.
Your dad, like you mentioned, has his own racing team, HMD Motorsports,
Yes.
which races in Indy Next. How much time do you spend with him? I know you're very busy, you're on the road all the time, but how much time do you spend with him? Have you had much of an opportunity to watch him run the day-to-day operations of the team since you left?
It's been in the beginning, as soon as, when I first made the jump to IndyCar. I mean, I think I was definitely more involved then.
Yeah.
The past few years, I've definitely, had it go away a little bit. I mean, coming into IndyCar being the main focus, there's a lot of time that gets spent to there. And,
Yep.
and obviously you always want to, focus on that. But, I mean, yes, here and there, definitely talking, especially with all the people there. The first day ones, I'm still very close and know everybody there. He has some great stories. Road America one time, I think we qualified very well, and he forgot that he wanted to stand up. He was at the what's the fast the fast right-hander before Canada corner.
You're asking me that?
I'm forgetting. So he was up there and he went on top of a rock because he wanted to get a better view, and so he's looking at his phone, and when he saw, we went P1 at the time in qualifying, he got so excited, but he was so invested on the time that he forgot he stood on the rock, and he's like, oh, no way, and then just stepped off the rock and just fell and tumbled and got bruised up and scratched, and then he just immediately, everybody's looking at him, he's okay, he jumped on the scooter, rode back, and then my mom was there, and he just came back all bloody. She's like, what did you do?
But there were so many people who said what an incredibly warm and friendly person your dad was.
Oh, yeah.
And that, like, there was like one story in particular I read about rigging the trailer to their truck or something like that, or like loading up the cart into wherever you guys store it. And he just randomly like walked up and struck up a conversation and like talked with them for like 10, 15 minutes, just sort of like talking about their experience being on the road, like pursuing their kids' karting career. And they were just so pleasantly surprised at what like a friendly and warm person your dad was.
Yeah, because you see him and he's this big macho man,
Yeah.
with the heavy Eastern European accent. It's like, hello, I am Henry Malukas, check out my tricep over here, boom. But no, he's just an absolute character, and he just has so much energy. And I like sometimes I just I want I need some of that. Why
Yeah.
didn't I get any of that? And if you saw him, he would be like, oh, what's your James? Oh, and he would just pick you up and hug you and lift you in the air and start cracking your back. He's like, look, I know good tactic and I crack your back good.
Yeah.
No, he's super high energy. He's definitely can lift up a room no matter where it is. And honestly, sometimes it helps a lot. You have a bad session or heads are down and my dad just comes in like, so what's going on, everybody? We're going fast or what? Boom, boom. So it's great. He's a good energy and everybody loves him around.
Are you still able to like watch the sport through the lens of a fan, or has being immersed in the series for 4 years now changed how you view motorsport?
I think I could still watch it. I mean, it's different when I rewatch replays, right? Because you're trying to obviously see things that you missed when you were in the car, and maybe something that, a different tactic or something that's ended up happening on strategy. Like, I mean, for thermal, we were on the wrong tire strategy. So just rewatching the replays to see, is there something that we missed? But what I've noticed is being in the series compared to when I was just a fan watching growing up, there's a lot more stress you get when you rewatch footage. It's kind of crazy. You watch the race, you see the start. I mean, I already lived it and everything, but like watching it, I can just feel, I'm just getting tense for just rewatching the footage. So it's something that, you kind of get a little bit stressed out from, so I kind of like maybe don't watch a few parts, maybe just highlights, which it's a weird thing that I've noticed. But obviously before that, I mean, I was a little kid and just watching it, and then getting like the scooter and then just bring it inside the house when my parents left and pretending I'm racing inside my house. It was Scott Dixon. So
was Scott Dixon your favorite driver growing up?
From IndyCar, yes, yeah.
Are you still starstruck when you see him?
No, I was the first year though.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. When he just came, he was like, "Hey, what's up?" I was just like. The coolest part was going side by side with him in St. Pete in practice one. I mean, we were still like, it was second lap, we're like going slow, but still, it was like so surreal as a kid in my house on my scooter, pretending I was side by side with him or going around the dining table.
Yeah.
And now I'm actually side by side with him on St. Pete. Like, it was really like a crazy kind of like, whoa, I can't believe that this is happening.
That's so cool.